mother's gardens like the tart you are." An ache began at her temple. She took one step back, shaking her head. "No," she said, flinching at the thickness of her Italian accent, the one she had been working so hard to tame. "They will not believe you." The words sounded hollow even to her. Of course they would believe him. He read the thought and gave a bark of angry laughter. "You can't imagine they'd believe you, barely legitimate, tolerated only because your brother is a marquis. You can't believe he'd believe you. You are, after all, your mother's daughter." Your mother's daughter. The words were a blow she could never escape, no matter how hard she tried. She lifted her chin, squaring her shoulders. "They will not believe you," she repeated, willing her voice to remain steady, "because they will not believe I could possibly have wanted you, porco." It took a moment for him to translate the Italian into English, to hear the insult. But when he did, the word pig hanging between them in both languages, Grabham reached for her, his fleshy hand grasping, fingers like sausages. He was shorter than she was, but he made up for it in brute strength. He grabbed one wrist, fingers digging deep, promising to bruise, and Juliana attempted to wrench herself from his grip, her skin twisting and burning. She hissed her pain and acted on instinct, thanking her maker that she'd learned to fight from the boys on the Veronese riverfront. Her knee came up, made precise, vicious contact. Grabham howled, his grip loosening just enough for escape. And Juliana did the only thing she could think of. She ran. Lifting the skirts of her shimmering green gown, she tore through the gardens, steering clear of the light pouring out of the enormous ballroom, knowing that being seen running from the darkness would have been just as damaging as being caught by the odious Grabham, who had recovered with alarming speed. She could hear him lumbering behind her through a particularly prickly hedge, panting in great heaving breaths. The sound spurred her on, and she burst through the side gate of the garden into the mews that abutted Ralston House, where a collection of carriages waited in a long line for their lords and ladies to call for transport home. She stepped on something sharp and stumbled, catching herself on the cobblestones, scoring the palms of her bare hands as she struggled to right herself. She cursed her decision to remove the gloves that she had been wearing inside the ballroom. Cloying or not, Kidskin would have saved her a few drops of blood that evening. The iron gate swung shut behind her, and she hesitated for a fraction of a second, sure the noise would attract attention. A quick glance found a collection of coachmen engrossed in a game of dice at the far end of the alleyway, unaware of or uninterested in her. Looking back, she saw the great bulk of Grabham making for the gate. He was a bull charging a red cape. She had mere seconds before she was gored. The carriages were her only hope. With a low, soothing whisper of Italian, she slipped beneath the massive heads of two great black horses and crept quickly along the line of carriages. She heard the gate screech open and bang shut, and she froze, listening for the telltale sound of predator approaching prey. It was impossible to hear anything over the pounding of her heart. Quietly, she opened the door to one of the great hulking vehicles and levered herself up and into the carriage without the aid of a stepping block. She heard a tear as the fabric of her dress caught on a sharp edge, and ignored the pang of disappointment as she yanked her skirts into the coach and reached for the door, closing it behind her as quietly as she could. The willow-green satin had been a gift from her brother, a nod to her hatred of the pale prim frocks worn by the rest of the unmarried ladies of the ton. And now it was ruined. She sat stiffly on the floor just inside the carriage, knees pulled up to her chest, and let the blackness embrace her. Willing her panicked breath to calm, she strained to hear something, anything, through the muffled silence. She resisted the urge to move, afraid to draw attention to her hiding place. Tego,